Have you or a friend recently uttered the phrase, Formula One in 2023 was so boring? If so, you may have forgotten that the 2023 Formula One season spanned 9 whole months, which is a very long time, just ask a claustrophobic baby. When you look past the fact that Max Verstappen won 19 of this season's 23 Grand Prix, a ton of emotional, awesome, and memorable happenings took place during the course of the 2023 F1 season. Here's my list of the top 10 moments from the 2023 Formula One season to hopefully make you remember the 2023 F1 season by more than just the fact that you now know the Dutch national anthem by heart. Oh yeah, and I think my number one moment is gonna surprise you, so make sure you stick around for the whole list. Jibbon! My number 10 moment from the 2023 F1 season is the Austria jetpack incident. This was easily the funniest Formula One related thing that happened all season, so I had to include it in my top 10. In case you missed it, before the Austrian Grand Prix, Formula One brought in 3 random dudes and had them do some sort of weird jetpack race thing above the Red Bull Ring circuit for some reason. I'm not exactly sure what the deal with these guys was, but after Formula One made will.i.am their artist in residence and then had him write a new F1 anthem called The Formula, I've learned to stop trying to find logic in their collaboration decisions. By the way, you didn't ask, but here is Formula Bone's parody of will.i.am's The Formula music video. F1. This is the formula. This is the formula. This is the formula. This is a formula. Oh, I know you love. You love it. This is the formula. Yup. This is the formula. Hey. This is the formula. Yup. This is the formula. One. Oh, I know you love. You love it. This is the formula. This is the formula. This is the formula. This is the formula. One. Please clap. Anyways, during their lap around the Red Bull Ring, one of the jetpacks malfunctioned, which sent its jetpacker careening out of the sky and into the circuit, where he proceeded to spin around like a certain Russian oligarch's son, before eventually coming to a stop. Then, in the only good TV direction we saw from F1 all season long, the camera immediately cuts to Oscar Piastri, who has watched this all go down while sipping from his water bottle like it's a Capri Sun. He then looks directly at the camera like he's Jim from The Office and gives one of the funniest yikes faces you'll ever see that makes me laugh every time I think about it. The jetpacker walked away from the incident just fine, and we got that hilarious Oscar moment, so I had to include this in my top 10. My number 9 moment from the 2023 F1 season is Checo Perez's title fight. It seems like a lifetime ago at this point, but there was a point earlier this year where we all thought that Max Verstappen's Red Bull teammate, Checo Perez, had a legitimate shot at becoming 2023's World Drivers' Champion. Through the season's first 4 Grand Prix, Checo Perez had wins in Jeddah and Baku and a second place finish in Bahrain, leaving himself P2 in the World Drivers' Championship, just 6 points behind Max Verstappen in P1, headed into the Miami Grand Prix. Then, in Miami, Checo was on pole with Max starting the Grand Prix P9 due to Max getting caught out by Leclerc's red flag in qualifying, so it looked like Checo very well may be leading the World Drivers' Championship after 5 races, but alas, Max Verstappen in Miami and went on to win the race from 9th place on the starting grid. I personally believe that this loss from pole position is what triggered Checo's infamous 2023 loss of form that started at the following Grand Prix in Monaco and led to Checo missing 5 straight Q3s in a row, effectively ending any chance of a title bid for him while also putting his seat in the hot water that it's honestly currently still in. But hey, Checo still very much livened up the first quarter of the season with his title bid, and for that, I thank him. Thank you, Checo.
Thank you.
My number 8 moment from the 2023 F1 season is the AlphaTauri driver carousel. 2023 was an absolutely bizarre year for Scuderia AlphaTauri, who used 4 different drivers this Formula One season, while no other team used more than 2. AlphaTauri started the season with Yuki Tsunoda and rookie Nick DeVries as their driver pairing, but after DeVries just couldn't produce any quality results, he was eaten alive by Helmut Marko and replaced mid-season with fan favorite driver Daniel Ricciardo to much fanfare. People love Danny Rick. However, Ricciardo broke his hand after just 2 Grand Prix, and thus himself had to be replaced by rookie Liam Lawson for 5 straight races, during the course of which Lawson proceeded to put in great drives and even finish in the points in Singapore, leaving all of us wondering if Liam Lawson deserved Daniel's or even Yuki's seat full time. However, ahead of the Japanese Grand Prix, while Lawson was still filling in for Ricciardo, it was announced that AlphaTauri's 2024 driver pairing would be Tsunoda and Ricciardo, which is sad because Lawson deserves a seat in Formula 1, but what are you going to do? Who knows? Maybe he'll get a seat in F1 whenever Helmut Marko eventually eats check. Danny, Rick, and Yuki would go on to each have signature drives, Daniel's P7 in Mexico and Yuki's P8 in Abu Dhabi, so I do think AlphaTauri's decision was justified. However, I do not forgive AlphaTauri for making it so that my fellow American, Logan Sargent, finished outside the top 20 in what is supposed to be a 20-driver championship. Jerks. This bustling holiday season, are you looking for nutritious, flavorful meals to fuel you on jam-packed days without the hassle that comes with grocery shopping and cooking? Well, look no further than my sponsor, Factor. Factor is America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service and can help you eat well for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. Not only are they delicious, but you won't believe how much time eating Factor's meals will save you. They are ready in just 2 minutes, so all you have to do is heat them up and then enjoy your meal, and then enjoy all the free time that you now have. Skip all that time-consuming meal planning, grocery shopping, chopping, prepping, and cleaning up by getting Factor's fresh, never-frozen meals delivered right to your door. Choose from 35-plus chef-crafted meals every week that support a healthy lifestyle and meet your meal preferences, whether it's Calorie Smart, vegan, veggie, protein plus, and more. Factor isn't just for dinner either. Count on extra convenience any time of day with an assortment of 55-plus add-ons to suit various preferences and tastes. This December, get Factor and enjoy eating well without the hassle. Simply choose your meals and enjoy fresh, flavor-packed meals delivered right to your door, ready in just 2 minutes, no prep, no mess. Head to factormeals.com/fbone50 and use code FBONE50 to get 50% off. That's code FBONE50 at factormeals.com/fbone50 to get 50% off. My number 7 moment from the 2023 F1 season is the Wet n Wild Dutch Grand Prix. Who doesn't love a rainy Formula 1 race? And it truly doesn't get better than the type of rainy F1 race we got with the Dutch Grand Prix. All drivers were on dry weather slick tires as they pulled up to the starting grid to begin the race, and it then literally started raining as the lights were going out for the race to start, which meant not a single driver was on the correct set of tires. By the end of the chaotic first lap, which saw a ton of jockeying for position and some great overtakes, the weather situation was literally unrecognizable from that of the beginning of the lap. It was an absolute monsoon out there, which set the stage for a mega chaotic and fun Grand Prix filled with more slipping and sliding than a jetpack malfunction and more incorrect strategy calls than the Ferrari pit wall. Shout out to McLaren and Mercedes, who both threw away podiums by staying out at the beginning of the race. The Dutch Grand Prix was supposed to be a 2-stop race, but the race winner, Max Verstappen, tied the all-time record for most pit stops by a winning driver as he pitted an insane 6 times. For future sim racing reference, remember that the optimal pit strategy at Zandvoort is the 6-stopper. If it worked for Max, it can work for you. My number 6 moment from the 2023 F1 season is Fernando Alonso fever. When Fernando Alonso decided to move from Alpine to Aston Martin at the end of last season, it came as a shock to pretty much everyone because Aston Martin did not seem like a team that would be more competitive than Alpine this season. Fast forward to the start of this season, and everyone who thought that, including me, was left looking more foolish than Alpine after announcing Oscar Piastri as Alonso's replacement. Fernando Alonso went from not scoring a single podium in 2022 to scoring an absurd 5 podiums through the 2023 season's first 6 Grand Prix, which led to a period of intense Fernando Alonso worship that was very fun to be a part of. In addition, Alonso's impeccable performance on track was being perfectly matched off track by him absolutely demolishing social media and going viral with his big forehead Alonso meme, which I copied, him absolutely hitting the gritty, and somehow even rumors that he was dating Taylor Swift. All of this on and off track Alonso mania combined to create what can only be described as Fernando Alonso fever, for which, as we all learned, there is no cure except maybe Aston Martin not developing their car at all and thus causing Fernando Alonso to not be able to fight for podiums anymore. Oh, Fernando Alonso. If you like Fernando Alonso as much as I do, make sure to check out my two favorite drivers are Fernando and Alonso, and my El Plan merch via the merch link in the description. J-Bomb! Buy the merch! My number 5 moment from the 2023 F1 season is the chaotic Las Vegas Grand Prix. And when I say chaotic, I mean it. The Las Vegas Grand Prix started out with the iconic Draingate scandal, where, to summarize, a loose drain valve cover completely destroyed Carlos Sainz's car just 9 minutes into free practice 1, which led to the entire circuit needing to be inspected, which led to free practice 2 being delayed, which led to F1 not letting fans watch free practice 2, which led to fans being outraged that they paid hundreds of dollars for 9 minutes of F1 viewing on day 1, which led to F1 putting out the worst press release ever and disingenuously handing out $200 merch vouchers in an effort to smooth things over, which it didn't, and it all ended with Carlos Sainz getting a horrible 10-place grid penalty for hitting the drain valve cover that started this whole chain reaction of dumb things off. But after all that bad chaos was over, Vegas produced one of the undeniable races of the year that was filled with good chaos. There were more overtakes than any other dry Grand Prix all season at the Las Vegas Grand Prix. The track surface was so low grip that any driver could make a mistake at any time, which kept things very interesting. And last but not least, we got that unreal overtake by Charles Leclerc on Checo Perez at the final overtaking zone of the final lap, which led to him stealing P2 and had all of us yelling at our TVs in the early morning hours. Hopefully next year's race is even more chaotic, but in the good chaos way this time, not like Draingate. That was stupid. My number 4 moment from the 2023 F1 season is that photo finish in Brazil. Far and away, the most exciting race finish of this Formula One season took place at Interlagos during the Sao Paulo Grand Prix, when Fernando Alonso managed to just barely eke out a race win over Checo Perez due to some absolutely masterful driving from the Spaniard. After holding off Checo for what felt like days in his Aston Martin car that was quite inferior to Checo's Red Bull rocket ship, Alonso eventually was overtaken by Checo on the second-to-last lap in Brazil. This meant that Alonso essentially only had 2 more solid opportunities to overtake Checo before the race ended. However, some absolutely clinical offense from Alonso set him up to pass Checo at the circuit's final overtaking opportunity, which is exactly what he did after absolutely sending it. It wasn't over yet though, as Checo's car was so fast it could overtake Alonso just before the finish line. It all ended with an iconic photo finish, like an actual photo of the finish, photo finish, that resulted in Fernando Alonso taking P3 and a spot on the podium by 53 thousandths of a second over Checo. Oh yeah, and Checo would ironically go on to have literally the exact same thing happen to him at the next race in Vegas, with Charles Leclerc overtaking him at the last overtaking opportunity. Not ideal for someone whose nickname is the Mexican Minister of Defense. My number 3 moment from the 2023 F1 season is McLaren's mid-season turnaround. I am not exaggerating when I say that McLaren just pulled off one of the greatest mid-season turnarounds in the history of Formula One. Here's why. Flashback to June 18th of this year, and you will find a McLaren in shambles. Through the 2023 season's first 8 races, McLaren had managed to score just 17 points. They were a very distant P6 in the World Constructors' Championship at this time, and it was looking like P6 might actually be their ceiling for the year because of how non-competitive their car was. It wasn't looking good for them. At the next race in Austria, however, McLaren introduced upgrades to Lando's car, and boom, he finished P4, increasing McLaren's 2023 points total from 17 to 29. McLaren knew they were onto something with these upgrades, but I do not think even they could have predicted what would happen at the next race when they added those upgrades to Oscar Piastri's car as well. What did happen? McLaren finished P2 and P4 at Silverstone, scoring 30 points, which, if you're keeping track at home, means they scored more points at Silverstone alone than they had managed to score at the previous 9 races combined. From their Silverstone launchpad, McLaren proceeded to have 8 more podium finishes in 2023, and they would finish the season P4 in the World Constructors' Championship, leapfrogging Alpine and Aston Martin, the latter having had a 137-point lead on them after Canada. Although that's not really a fair comparison considering Aston Martin have Lance Stroll. I truly cannot believe how McLaren ended the year after how they started the year. Big ups to Zach Brown and Andrea Stella. In this day and age, anyone can sell products online, and if you're thinking about starting, you need to be using my partner Shopify. Shopify is the best all-in-one commerce platform capable of handling your business's complexity, no matter how big you grow. Step up to Shopify and harness the best converting checkout and the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands like Ruggable and Allbirds. You're probably thinking, sure, but migrating is going to be a headache. Nope. Shopify's App Store has the migration apps you need to migrate your products, orders, customers, and more from every major e-commerce platform to Shopify. Shopify stores convert the best, so stop leaving sales on the table, switch your business to Shopify, and discover why millions trust Shopify as their all-in-one commerce platform to build, grow, and run their business. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/fbone, all lowercase. That's 1 month for just $1 at shopify.com/fbone, shopify.com/fbone. My number 2 moment from the 2023 F1 season is the Singapore Grand Prix. The Singapore Grand Prix is so high on my list for 3 main reasons. First, because it's literally the only race this season that was not won by Red Bull, or even close to being won by Red Bull for that matter, and thus it was, by that metric alone, the most interesting race of the season. The second reason is because the final laps of this race had all of us on the edge of our seat as we wondered if Sainz, Norris, Russell, or Hamilton would win. Less than 2 seconds separated these 4 drivers at the end of the race, and if you watch Formula One, you know that ends of races are almost never that highly contested between 4 drivers, especially in the Max Verstappen era. This made for a supremely entertaining spectacle. And the final reason the Singapore Grand Prix is my number 2 moment from the 2023 F1 season is because of the unreal strategy that won Carlos Sainz the race. Sainz knew that George Russell in P3 had a good chance of overtaking Lando in P2 and then him in P1 by the end of the race because Russell was on faster tires than both of them. So what Carlos Sainz did was keep Lando Norris close enough behind him to give Lando a slipstream and DRS that Lando could use to defend against Russell, but also far enough behind him so that Lando couldn't get close enough to him to attempt an overtake for the race lead. This was a risky strategy that required perfect race management from Sainz, and he executed it perfectly to become the only non-Red Bull race winner of 2023. Good job, Ferrari. You didn't mess something up. That's huge for you. And drum roll, please. My number 1 moment from the 2023 F1 season is the Monaco Grand Prix. Yes, the Grand Prix most people think is too boring for F1 is my top moment of the F1 season. There are 2 things that I saw during this year's Monaco Grand Prix that both are some of my most memorable F1 memories ever. First, you have Max Verstappen's pole lap, which included what I believe to be the greatest sector ever driven in the history of Formula One. Sector 3 at the Circuit de Monaco is the shortest sector on the entire F1 calendar, and on his final qualifying lap, Max Verstappen entered Sector 3 2/10 down on Fernando Alonso's provisional pole lap time. Knowing that he needed to make some absolute magic happen if he wanted to steal pole from Alonso, Max drove as on the limit as is humanly possible through Sector 3 by taking the most aggressive racing line anyone's ever taken there to somehow, some way, not hit a wall and find 3/10 in the shortest sector in F1 to steal pole position from Alonso. I didn't like it. I wanted Alonso. I wanted Alonso on pole, so I didn't really like it, but I respected it majorly. The second thing that happened at this year's Monaco Grand Prix that made it my top F1 moment of 2023 is how the rain started falling and caused highly entertaining chaos that made it so Fernando Alonso came 1 tire compound away from winning the Monaco Grand Prix. Despite the fact that rain was falling, Aston Martin pitted Alonso and then put slick tires on his car instead of the wet weather intermediates, which I believe ended up costing him what would have been a backdoor race win over Max Verstappen, and you can't convince me otherwise. Some people are like, oh, that wouldn't have made a difference. I think it would have, and nobody can tell me that's wrong. That moment has now joined Lando Norris's Russian Grand Prix near win as a certified J-Bone cursed F1 moment that will never cease to make me sad when I think about it. You put the wet weather tires on when it's wet out, Aston Martin. It's not that difficult. The Monaco Grand Prix, which many people want off the F1 calendar because it is oftentimes boring, has been anything but boring the past 2 seasons and has officially been the top moment of the F1 season for me the last 2 years in a row, because my top moment from 2022 was Ferrari's Monaco mistakes. Monaco, you can stay on the calendar as long as you want if you just keep doing what you've been doing the past 2 years. If there are any moments from this Formula One season that you think should have made my list but didn't, make sure to leave a comment on this video right now with what I left out so that I can see the error of my ways. Go comment right now. Do it. Special shout out to my top Patreon supporters and YouTube channel members at Rated Bookie, Glow, and Green Ghost. Also, go celebrate another F1 season in the books by hitting up the Formula One shop via the link in the description. Look at these designs. They're amazing, okay? All my merch ships globally, all over the globe. I just had some purchases from Australia. It's crazy. It's far away. My merch is also available in a ton of sizes and colors, so go check out the Formula One merch shop at the link in the description. J-Bomb! Subscribe now to keep getting F1 off-season content all F1 off-season long, and until next time, folks, J-Bomb! J-Bomb!